Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a new edition of the Daily Debate. In tonight's show, we're going to be focusing on the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi kicking off a European tour that is starting off to Germany on Tuesday today, and will be followed later on by a visit to Hungary. But we'll mainly focus on the German visit first of all. The President is scheduled to meet the German President Joachim Gauck in Berlin tomorrow, followed by a meeting with the German Chancellor Angela Merkel, followed by another meeting with the German Foreign Minister Frank-Walter Steinmeier. We're going to be talking about the visit, the importance of this visit to Germany. We're going to be talking about the bilateral relations, the political, economic and cultural relationships between both countries. But first off, let's check out this report and we'll be right back with our distinguished guest.
Diplomatic relations between Egypt and Germany began in December of 1957. The political relations are distinguished because each country enjoys weight inside the regional and geographical region it belongs to. The officials of the two countries usually exchange visits all over the year and at higher levels. Political relations between Egypt and Germany are based on mutual interests, and the large-scale cooperation between the two sides boosts these relations. The German side usually confirms that Egypt is one of the most important partners in the Middle East and Arab world. The two countries see eye to eye concerning political dialogue, trade and industry, environment, scientific research, culture, judiciary and immigration. The Cultural Cooperation Protocol signed in 1959 is the major framework which organizes Egyptian-German cultural relations. Later on, two cultural agreements were signed in 1979 and 1981. Aspects of cooperation between the two sides diversify as follows. The Garth Institute in Cairo and Alexandria. This institute plays a significant role in managing cultural activities in Egypt concerning teaching the German language and holding symposiums and displaying movies, and joins a large cultural library. The DAAD Cairo, the German Academic Exchange Service, provides scholarships for Egyptian researchers to study in Germany. The Mubarak Kohle project for technical education, which targets the continued cooperation between the Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development and the Egyptian Ministry of Education for training on the vocational system in Egypt, as well as the German University in Cairo, which was opened in October of 2003 and was a bridge for cooperation between the two countries, where 6,000 Egyptian students study in different branches of science. The German Antiquities Institute holds archaeological studies in Egypt and pays special attention to studies and researches on Pharaonic, Roman and Islamic history. In 2007, the institute celebrated its centennial. There are also 3 German schools in Cairo and Alexandria, which were established in 1873, 1884 and 1904. These schools qualify the Egyptian students to enroll in the Egyptian and German universities. Schools and Partnership for the Future initiative. This project was laid down in 2008 as one of the major goals of the German foreign policy in the field of education and culture, to establish cooperation and partnership in German schools and Egyptian schools, and to boost teaching the German language in Egyptian schools and promote students' joint activities to deepen the understanding of the other. The project includes establishing information networks to join the 3 German schools and 6 German private schools, as well as several Egyptian schools. German Chancellor Angela Merkel participated in a conference held in Sharm el-Sheikh on March the 1st of 2009 for Gaza's reconstruction and boosting calm in the Strip. Germany supports the Egyptian stance on the Middle East and calls for establishing 2 states, and it supports Egypt in its attempts to realize reconciliation between the Palestinian factions Fatah and Hamas. Following mass protests of January 25th in 2011, German Chancellor Angela Merkel urged President Mubarak to step down. German Foreign Minister at the time, Guido Westerwelle, visited February the 25th of 2011 to gain a comprehensive impression of the situation in the country and learn in which areas Germany's help was welcome and necessary. But ties somehow strained in the aftermath of the ouster of the Brotherhood regime, but later began to improve with the regaining of Egypt's security and stability on the regional, African and international fronts.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and now focusing our discussion on the presidential visit to Germany. We're joined here in the studio to shed more light on this issue by Mr. Yasser, the head of المستقبل political party and the political analyst. We're also joined by Ambassador Salman, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Mr. Ura, first of all, now, the presidency has carried out a few important visits, especially to Europe, that included Italy and France as well. But, however, the German visit seems to attract most of the spotlight, and a lot of importance is really hanging on this visit. What is the significance of such a visit and the timing of it as well?
Of course, Germany is one of the most powerful countries in the European Union and in the worldwide economy, and the influence of Germany is very strong all over the world, not only in Europe. So the German, I think there is the visit to Germany is very strategic from the political and the economic point of view, because we are looking at changing the way the whole world looks at Egypt, especially after the 30th of June. And Germany was one of the main countries that have the Muslim Brotherhood financial support and the most powerful businessmen of the organization for the Muslim Brotherhood. So many investments, besides the ties that has between Turkey and Germany. This is very important that the president shows the whole world how Germany is supporting the Egyptian president and the will of the Egyptian people after the 30th of June, especially that the Muslim Brotherhood. Very supported by Germany. So after the success of this visit, I believe there will be a complete change. Or now we can say that the Muslim Brotherhood is gone forever, because the support, if the president was not received by the German country, the Muslim Brotherhood would have stayed and with the hope that Germany would be supporting the Muslim Brotherhood, and they would be against the Egyptian president and against the Egyptian regime. So in this case, I believe the success of this, apart from the economic, but the political, I think in this stage, the political aspect is very important for us and for the whole world to see how Egyptian president has been received in Germany and welcomed everywhere. And I believe it will be a success, especially with the people's delegation and all the arrangements that has been done for the Egyptian president in Germany. It's very strategic.
Yes. Ambassador Burhan, now, what would you expect to be discussed during the meetings between President Sisi and the German President and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel and the German Foreign Minister? Do you expect that it would be the usual signing of some agreements and economic agreements, or do you feel that some serious talk will be held and some turning points will be taken during this visit?
No doubt be kind of agreements between Egypt and Germany, I think, especially in the industrial sector. This is one thing. And of course, besides of the political talks, I think one of the main issues will be the bilateral relations between Germany and Egypt, taking into consideration that Germany is one of the very important states in the European Union. It is a locomotive of the economic locomotive of the European Union. This is one thing. The weight of Germany in Europe, especially in Eastern Europe, and it's I mean very good relations between Germany, Russia, and Turkey, and all the the Eastern European countries are very important. And I think Germany will play a role in this, in strengthening the relations between Egypt and the states of the European Union, because of the weight influence of Germany in the European Union. This is one thing. Besides of the political and the economic issues, I think the cultural issues may be raised, because I think we have in Egypt the German university, we have so many German schools, we have I think an Egyptian school in Germany, in Berlin. So cultural also, we are trying to strengthen and to bring more investors in the, not only in the economic and sector, but also in the cultural sector. Because I think this is a sphere or a sector that Germany could give a lot of support the culture, taking into effect that the Egyptians like very much the German language, the German school, the German education. So I think this might be politically, economically, this is the three main ways or the three main sectors that our President Sisi with Angela Merkel will discuss. This is one thing. I think the very important issues also politically are, in my opinion, are two. I think the fighting against terrorism, this is one thing, and the Palestinian issue. I think because maybe Germans have a certain viewpoint to the Palestinian issue, and Germany, I think it has been that the Germans wants to put weight, I mean the German weight, to bring the two sides together, I mean the Palestinians and the Israelis, to overcome the hurdles of the situation which is at our hands at the moment. So I think this is opinion. The main issues which might be raised between the German Chancellor and our President and the two foreign ministers, Mr. Shukri and Mr. Steinmeier.
Yes. Mr. Qورة, now, leading up to this visit, the President of the German Parliament actually cancelled his meeting with President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and well, the reasons, he said, due to the lack of democratic progress. And you've previously mentioned the weight of the financial weight of the Brotherhood in Germany. How key do you think this cancellation will play in the whole visit in setting up the future of the political bilateral relations? We understand that maybe the cultural or economic relations can go ahead, but the political relations between Egypt and Germany, is this some sort of an indicator to the future, foreshadowing the future of the political relations between both countries?
Let's begin first with the construction of the German Parliament. So there is a lot of Turkish origin Germans. Those are influenced by Turkey and also by the Muslim Brotherhood organization. I think this is the main reason they pressurized the head of the parliament or president of the parliament to cancel the meeting with President Sisi. This is the main issue, because the influence, the economic influence or the financial influence that they have, they succeeded in making this step. But I believe this would be overcome by the amount of agreements that will be signed, the reception that will be made for the president, especially tomorrow with the president, the German president, and with Mrs. Merkel. I believe those reception will overshadow the effect of the meeting with the head of the. And I don't see that this will be that will have any influence or any political influence on the president's visit. I believe that they lost, and I mean he should have reconsidered this. I think it was not a good decision from the parliament, from the German parliament, to do this. But I believe that the majority, or maybe most of a great amount of the Muslim Brotherhood, which are in the parliament, succeeded to do this step due to the background or the relations with Turkey. But it's not going to be affecting the visit. I believe this visit will be very successful. The people's delegation that went to Germany before the president, I think it's a very big delegation, maybe the biggest after the UN people's delegation. The arrangements that has been done, I think it's very well arranged between the Egyptian Germans that live there and the Egyptians, the delegation that went from here. I have been in talks with several, because we have a delegation from our party that went with the people's delegation to Germany. All the calls that I have been receiving till before, like 1 hour before we came here, I mean, people were very excited. Everything is well arranged. I believe it will be a shock for the Muslim Brotherhood with this amount of people that will be supporting the president. They will show the whole world that nothing is going to stop the Egyptians from taking their decisions and taking their faith into their hands, as we say, and they are going to decide whatever they want. They elected their president. They are going to support their president, and they are going to back him up to the end, because this is the Egyptians' will. And the president was elected with 99%. It's not a majority, it's an absolute majority. I mean, so if you elect somebody with 99%, it means that you are going to do everything to make him succeed in every aspect, in the economic aspect, in the political aspect, in showing all kind of support. You see, the people has been traveling with the president everywhere to show the whole world that we have this big delegation going to all the countries to show them this is the Egyptians, this is what we did in the 30th of June. We don't need those people, those are terrorists. We are proving that those people are terrorists. What's been happening in Egypt, the bombings, the killing that's been going on for 2 years now. I believe that the whole world, if they didn't see what's happening in Egypt, then somebody is trying to be blind. He's not blind, but he's trying to be blind. So it's obvious to everybody who is the terrorists all over the world right now.
Yes, definitely. Ambassador Burhan, now, after the 30th of June revolution, some countries were quite skeptical regarding the transition that's taking place in Egypt, whether it's an actual people's revolution or a military coup d'etat. And by time some countries started joining the people's revolution theory, and some countries were taking a little bit longer to actually come on to that theory. Now, Germany is one of those countries that didn't rush to that theory right away, but it's taking its time. Do you feel that with this visit, they will actually reach this theory and this concept of the 30th of June being a people's revolution 100%? Or do you feel that they will still need a lot of convincing? Do you still feel that actually the verdicts in ousted President Mohamed Morsi's trials will play a factor happening nowadays, will play a factor in the talks and the discussions between the presidency and the German Chancellor?
At the moment, it is very hard to predict how the Germans will react at the moment after the visit. Let us see after the visit what will happen between the executives, I mean the government of Germany and the government of Egypt. Set aside the Parliament House in Germany or the People's Assembly in Egypt, which is at the moment in Abyei. This is one thing. I think how to convince the Germans that the Egyptians are on the right track of democracy. I think this is a duty we have to do this is our homework, and our homework at home. We have to convince the outside world that Egypt is on the right track of democracy. I think the very important motion in this, or move in this step, will be the election of parliament, the parliament house in Egypt. If we do that, I think it is a very good omen that Egypt is on the right track. This is one thing. I depend too much on how the foreigners, or how the foreign governments look at Egypt at the moment. I think we have to look at ourselves. I think the roadmap of which was declared by President Sisi is a good step, and I think if we go ahead with this roadmap, I think by establishing the true democracy, electing the people's representatives in the parliament house, I think this will convince the outside world that Egypt is taking seriously the issue of democracy, taking seriously the issue of removing all the roots of bad history in the Egyptian governments. And I think this is what we have to do, to look at ourselves, to do our homeworks at home, and I think let the foreign powers look at ourselves after we have changed something on the ground. But at the moment, I think this will be an issue which might be raised by Angela Merkel under the influence of some European states in the European Union. I think this might be raised, and the issue of the verdicts or condemnation of the Brotherhood's members in the Egyptian prisons. I think this is it is an issue which affects everybody, not only in Germany or in Europe. It affects all the Egyptians in the first place.
Yes. Mr. Qورة, now we understand that there will be a lot of economic agreements being signed between both countries, especially as well in the energy sector. Now, a lot of great Egyptian minds were actually quite critical in forming the modern and recent history in Germany, whether if it's for underground or energy fields. Do you feel that now these agreements and these projects, the joint projects and cooperation between both countries, especially in that field, could be much more important than all the other agreements in the similar sectors such as energy and transportation? Do you feel that the agreements being signed in Germany will be critical in shaping the Egyptian future for this sector?
Definitely, yes. The German country is one of the most powerful and the most advanced countries in the field of technology, in the field of industry. The Egyptian people likes the German products. They trust the German products. This is historical for the Egyptians. We trust that the Germans have the most advanced and the most recent technology in all aspects. Nowadays, everybody's looking at the energy sector. Germany has been leading in the energy sectors. We have seen the projects in Germany has been done for the solar roofings, for the housing, and now the people are exporting the energy to the government, so they have surplus of energy. This technology has to be exported or imported to us so that we can build our country, because we have a deficiency, a great deficiency in the energy sector. if the president is talking about the new revolution or the industrial revolution that we are talking about, then we cannot make any industrial revolution without energy. And we have to see what's the most economic energy way that we can have in the coming years. And I think that the whole world is looking at the solar energy, and this is one of the most it's the cheapest for us, because we have the sun like 365 days out of 366. So we have it's a sunny country, so we have to make use of this benefit that we have. I believe Germany, or the agreements that will be signed with Germany, it will be concentrating definitely on the energy sector, besides different aspects, because the Suez Canal project. Now I believe that the German companies will have a great influence on this project, because we need to make a very advanced city with the latest technology, and I believe Germany has to do this role, and they are successful in this.
Yes.
And I have seen this in the Emirates. How the Germans have built and put their technology in Germany in all ways, in different countries, different companies, like Siemens, like so many. I mean, the most, if you look at the worldwide companies, the leading companies in everywhere, you'll find that like 60% of the companies are German.
Yes, there is always a German connection.
Exactly. So that's why I believe that people are relieved with the German products. The support that has been done in the economic forum from Germany, I think it was very, very good, and it was well received by the Egyptian people. The German companies are willing to cooperate and willing to work and willing to build the new Egypt that we are talking about. And from here, I believe there will be a success for the German companies and for us to gain from their experience.
Yes, definitely. Ambassador Burhan, now, during the latest visits by the presidency, one sticks out, the one to New York for the UN Assembly. During this visit, the Muslim Brotherhood promised of staging a lot of marches and a lot of protests during the visit of President Sisi. However, it didn't really amount to much. At the same time, for this visit, also the Muslim Brotherhood is promising to have a much stronger, much more visual and viewed marches and protests taking place in Berlin during this visit. How do you expect this to go ahead tomorrow? Do you expect to see a lot of Muslim Brotherhood marches or supporters of the ousted President Mohammed Morsi in Berlin tomorrow?
It might happen. It might happen, but this will not bother the Egyptian government or the Egyptian president. I think this is democracy. If we wanted to play democracy, let them march in the streets of Berlin. Then they will raise their voices. This is democracy. We are not afraid of anything. If we are trying to play democracy as it will be, there are government and opposition. There are one view and the other view. So if we are receptive to the notion of democracy, I think this will not annoy us or bother the Egyptians or the Egyptian government, and even the Egyptian news media or the Egyptian newspaper, if it put that on the headlines. This is a good omen in my opinion, because this is we are playing democracy, and the Egyptian president is a democratic president. He receives the other view comfortably, and it doesn't bother us at all. And we are. This is our roadmap, and we are. Marching in the steps which has been declared by our president. We are now. We have 2 steps in the past, and the remaining steps in the Parliament House, and we are on the road to establish our Parliament House, and we have issued the election law, and we are. This is how to convince the Western mind. The Western mind is pragmatic. if we could give them some pragmatic steps, I think this will convince them, not by loud voices or dancing in the streets or raising our voices in support of our president. What if we wanted to show the Westerns that we are on the road of democracy? Let us take the steps of democracy. One of them is receiving the other view.
Well, if it does happen, do you think that this will create some sort of an obstacle in actually selling the idea of and convincing the German side of the democratic transition and progress that is taking place in Egypt?
Yes, why not? I think in the era of President Sadat and after the signing of Camp David Accords, I was at the time counselor at the Egyptian embassy, and there were demonstrations and marches between the opposition against the Camp David Accords, and our President Sadat got into the balcony and he raised his hands and showed that why not? You are Egyptians, we are Egyptians, you have a point of view and we have another point of view, let us discuss that. And they clapped their hands to the president as at the moment they have seen the President Sadat. So I don't think that we take a step back or just get annoyed of these demonstrations or marches. Yes. Let us play the democracy, and I think this is what the other world, the Western mind, will expect us to do.
Yes. Mr. Qورة, now, on the other hand, the presidency is going to Germany with the popular Egyptian delegation that consists of many artists, actors, singers, representatives of political parties such as المستقبل party, media people, all sorts of important popular figures from Egypt going to Germany as well. What sort of effect do you think this will have? What sort of role do you think they will play in the visit? And how much do you think the German side will take notice of their visit with the presidency?
I believe that the people's day in this visit is very important. You have to show the Western society and the German society that we have all aspects and all the criteria of people that constitutes the society in Egypt are here in Germany, supporting the president, starting from the politicians to the artists to the normal people. Everybody is there to back the president. I think this is a cultural way to show the German people how the Egyptians react to their president, how they support their president. It will have a very good positive impact on the visit, because the more you have, or the more you have from the variety of people that you have in the delegation or in the people's delegation, the more you show to the world how all the people, all the stratas, or all the constitutions of the society in Egypt are supporting the presidents, that everybody is behind the president. This means that this is the majority of the people. We have those representatives, those represents the Egyptian people. Backing their president. I think it's a very positive image to the whole world and to the German government and to the German people. And you know, in the Western societies, the people have a great influence on their governments. So the government cannot work against the people's will. So if you succeeded to gain the normal German people in your side, or to be backing you, I believe this would be a very tough decision for the German government to go against their will, because eventually they will lose in the elections, and they are, and in all these countries they are trying to gain the confidence and to gain the trust of the voter. So they cannot go against their will. So if you succeeded to deviate and to gain the normal German voter to be with you. I believe that the government, even if they still have any doubts, and let's say it's doubts that there is a coup or something, it will vanish with the German will and with the German people's will.
Yes, Ambassador Burhan. Earlier on, you mentioned we were talking about the topics that will be discussed, or we expect to be discussed during the meeting between the presidency and the chancellor. Now, one of the topics you've mentioned was the war on terrorism. Now, Egypt is already part of a lot of different around the Arab world. In Yemen, in the Saudi-led coalition, we're also fighting the Daesh terrorists on the border with Libya. We're also fighting terrorism inside the Sinai Peninsula. So Egypt is already involved in many conflicts around the region. If this is discussed during the talks between the President and the Chancellor, where do you see the German Chancellor's stance regarding this conflict? Do you feel that the Germans will be backing Egypt in all these different conflicts and fronts? Do you feel that this will result in some sort of military cooperation between the Germans and Egypt, or do you think that it will just be a topic that they will discuss for 5 or 10 minutes and then they move on to another one?
I think we have already bought 2 submarines from Germany, and this is very good omen that the German government is backing Egypt in its fight against terrorism. This is one thing. Terrorism in Egypt is something, and terrorism in the world is another thing. I think if we are fighting terrorism inside Egypt, maybe the Germans might be convinced that the stability of the government of Egypt is very important for Egypt, for the whole region, and for Europe at the moment. But if we are sending our troops outside our borders in Yemen or in Libya and other places, I think the German will may not support us in these actions, because they may consider it as intervention in another people's affairs. And the Germans, after they have fought to World War I and II, I think they're back from intervention in other places outside borders, German borders. I think this is a phobia in the Egyptian, in the German mind. Troops outside borders. If we are fighting terrorism, okay, fight terrorism, which is, I mean, menacing the Egyptian government inside Egypt. But to send Egyptian troops outside the borders and take, I mean, support of different foreign governments to that action, I think the Germans will, I mean, take a back step not to support us on this. This is my my own point of view. I don't want to put myself in the shoes of the German government, but this is my own thinking.
Mr. Qورة, now during the previous presidential visits to France and Italy, and they are main European players, we were always waiting for that visit to Germany, the biggest European economy, the strongest sort of player in the European economy and the EU. Now, after this visit, should we be anticipating and looking forward to a visit to Britain, to London, meeting the Prime Minister David Cameron? Do you feel that after the German visit, now the other visit that we should be focusing on and looking at that will determine the shape and the dynamics of Egypt's foreign relations, do you feel that it would be one to London, or do you feel that by the German visit we already have taken care of the European continent?
No, definitely. England is one of the key players in the whole political issue. I mean, but the German visit is, as we said, is a challenging visit, one of the most strategic, one of the most important, because Germany in the Union, especially in the European Union, it's the heavyweight country. It's so once you gain the support of Germany, I believe England will not be a problem. Especially that your visit to the United Nations were very successful. We haven't seen any reactions from the British government till now against the Egyptian government. We haven't seen anything till now. It's some kind of neutrality from the, but it's backing more than it's against. So I believe after the success of the German visit, I believe it will be very easy to go to England. There will not be, because as we said, the main concentration of the military or the Muslim Brotherhood financial businessmen and the financial issue is in Germany. Yes. The companies and the bank accounts for the Muslim Brotherhood organization is in Germany, not in England. So England is moving, let's say not moving behind the United States, but it's in line with the United States. But again, every country is looking for its benefits. So I believe that after Germany, the England would not want to be in a corner by itself in the European Union. After all the countries have received the Egyptian president and welcomed the Egyptian president, and we have seen what happened in Spain and in Italy. I mean, the welcome reception was huge. I mean, yes. So I believe after this, England will not be a problem. But I believe I think there is an invitation from England to the president. If I'm correct, there is an invitation from the Prime Minister to visit England. And I think it will be the last and the final stage. After this, we have to close this file of the MB, yes. And we have to look for, again, the future.
And Egyptians are quite optimistic that the German visit will go according to plan and even better than expected. But just to talk about all sorts of different scenarios, what if this German visit didn't go according to the Egyptians' sort of plan or expectations? Should we expect other European countries to follow the German example for the visits and for the relationship? Should we expect even the US to actually look at it and say, well, if Germany didn't even want to go that far, maybe we shouldn't go either? Do you expect that if, God forbids, this visit doesn't go according to plan, other countries would follow suit?
I don't think so. I don't believe so, because I don't believe that I don't want to be pessimistic and say that it's going to be a failure or the visit will not be successful, because first of all, the invitation came from Mrs. Merkel and from the German government. So if you are inviting the president, then you believe that that you have to be it has to be a successful visit. So yes, why would it be a failure? I mean, Merkel, I think with the meetings that's going to be held tomorrow, with all these businessmen and in the industrial field and all aspects of cooperation between the Egyptian and the German companies, I believe that the organization is meant to succeed, yes. Not to. If we are going to be pessimistic and say that there will be some kind of a failure, I don't believe it will affect the other countries. But it could be a positive, but it's not going to have a negative effect. But because most of the countries the president has been to Russia, has been to China, yes. Has been to the UN, has been everywhere. So we are supported by everybody. So it's not the German itself that's going to make us to change the whole world point of view against Egypt, but it could support. Could be an added value, but it's not going to be. It's not going to change the view.
Definitely, Mr. Ambassador, you've mentioned we talked about the political and economic relationship, and you also pointed out the cultural relationship between both countries. In Egypt, we have many German schools, many German cultural centers. Now, talking about actually strengthening the cultural relation and cooperation between Egypt and Germany, what are the prospects and what are the potential areas that we can actually strengthen this cultural relation between both countries?
I think this is a wide spectrum and wide range field of cooperation between Egypt and Germany, because I think in the era of President Mubarak, we have the Col Mubarak Technical School, and this is it is a success. And if we can build on this example, and we have technical schools, the technical schools, this is what we need at the moment in Egypt. Technical schools to have foremen and to have technicians in all fields, mechanic, electrical, agricultural, any I mean field. I think the Germans can help in this, and if we can raise the technicalities of the schools in Egypt, to build another example of Col Mubarak School, this is what would be a very good step. The German university in Egypt, if we can widen up the disciplines of the German university to have to concentrate or to focus on the technology and the transfer of technology to Egyptian technicians and Egyptian professors and Egyptian universities, I think this is another step. If we can send some scholars and students to study in Egypt, in Germany, I think the German will give us a hand in this to support us in granting Egypt so many technical scholars and grants in this field. So I think there are the cultural the cultural sector or sphere or field is wide open, and this does not change by political views. This is we are in supportive of each other or we are against each other. No, I think the cultural, this is the soft strengths of Egypt and the soft strengths of Germany. And if we can build on the cultural cooperation, this will bring us fruits in other fields of knowledge, in other fields of cooperation, to bring the Egyptians and the normal Egyptians and Germans to know each other, to know each other better than we at the moment. So I think this is a very wide and very open field to cooperate between Egypt and Germany.
Definitely. Mr. Qورة, now recently we were talking about the that was held in Sharm el-Sheikh, talking about attracting the foreign investors and talking about potential projects that will benefit the Egyptian economy on the short and on the long run. Now, Germany being the biggest European economy, after such a visit, do you expect a lot of foreign investment coming to Egypt? Do you expect that we would actually feel some sort of a change in the significance of economic cooperation between Egypt and the biggest European economy, and we would actually feel it here in Egypt?
Usually the investment comes when you see the atmosphere, the economic or the investment atmosphere in any country. You have to make this kind of tests before you put your money into any economy or you invest in a foreign country. So if you have a country like Germany is going to put this amount of investments in Egypt, I believe it's going to encourage all other countries, all other companies to come forward to make investments, because they see or they are sure that if the German companies are going to invest in Egypt, then the Egyptian economy is willing to accept and willing to take so many investments, especially that we are open to the whole world. We have introduced several mega projects in the economic forum, which means there will be a lot of money in the country coming from outside and from inside also. So the investments here, there's a very big investment opportunity to the countries, and they are looking. If you look at the whole world now, you are in deep recession everywhere. If you find a country like Egypt with the president and the people and the government are pushing forward for investment and trying to attract investments to come into the country, and they are welcoming the investments. You are preparing the country right now with the infrastructure, like the roads that you are working on, and the infrastructure, different ways of aspects of infrastructure. I believe that this would be encouraging for all the other countries, especially when you find Germany, you find the US, you find different Arab countries investing in the Egyptian economy.
And do you expect that the expansion of the Suez Canal project, how it's progressing, is some sort of an indicator to the seriousness of the Egyptian government taking the Egyptian economy to another level?
The president is giving a very, very important message with the opening of the Suez Canal on the 6th of August. I mean, the most important message here, not only to the Egyptian people that he usually sticks to his word, but to the whole world, that whenever he says something, he's going to do it. This is very, very important, that you have to trust whoever is in power in any country, that he's working for his country, he's doing whatever he promises, and he fulfills his promises.
Yes,
and this
definitely.
is very important. So the opening of the Suez Canal after 1 year exactly, when the president promised he's going to open it, and he succeeded in this, I believe this is a very strong message to the whole world. When we say that we are going to finish the infrastructure, it's going to be finished. So all these promises will be fulfilled. This will be very encouraging for the investment and the foreign investments to be
definitely
pushed into the economy.
Definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll definitely be following up the developments of the presidency's visit to Germany and the meetings that will be held tomorrow in Berlin between the Egyptian president, the German president, and the German chancellor, along with the German foreign minister. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank our very distinguished guest, His Excellency Ambassador Samir Burhan, the former Assistant Foreign Minister. I'd also like to thank Mr. Yasser, head of المستقبل political party and the political analyst. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for joining us.